FishTankTV.com, YouTube. What's going on? Sorry for the glare, the sunlight, so bright. But this is a video request for the daughter's boy. The daughter's boy asked me to set up. An estimate cost what you need for a fish-only 4-foot tank. So let's turn around and look at my 4-foot tank. This is my 55-gallon Fowler tank. It's not the best looking tank. The light needs to be upgraded severely. What do you need for a Fowler tank? A fish-only tank? Well, see, that's the problem. You said fish-only, but do you know what a Fowler tank is? A Fowler tank is a fish-only with live rock tank. Fowler, fish-only with live rock. Well, for a fish-only tank, you really don't need live rock, but I get it. Let's see here, fish only. For saltwater, you need a lot more filtration than you think you need. Water flow is a must in saltwater. I've got 1,800 gallons on a 55-gallon Fowler tank. That's fish only with live rock. You need water flow. You see my water pump right over here. It looks like it's not doing much, but it is. You need your tropical aquarium heater. Saltwater is tropical, so they need warm water. You need a heater that's adequate. The rule is 3 watts per gallon, so you don't your heater doesn't crack on you or something. You don't have to have 3 watts per gallon, but that's the safe rule. Filtration, there's many different kind of ways of filtration. You can hang on the back, which I like. You can have canister. Canister is probably the best for fish only. You can have wet dry sugar filter. I take that back. That might be the best. And then again, you could go out for a reef filtration, which would actually really be the best for fish only. It'd be the best kind of filtration no matter what. A sump and a refugium is basically two different things, but you can have a sump with a refugium in it, but you cannot have a refugium with a sump in it. A sump is basically something with an overflow box, which comes into your tank, it flows out, goes into the bottom of your tank, goes into another tank, and has a assembly line of filtration with the biological, the mechanical. Well, it starts out with mechanical, probably then the chemical, and then the biological, then the plant filtration. You can go that route, which would be the best. But for fish only, you don't need that much. Saltwater, you need to know your fish, and you need to do your research. You need sand or crushed coral to keep pH up. You can't just throw gravel into a saltwater aquarium, because saltwater needs a higher pH, around 8.3, somewhere around there. A lot of people overlook it, but you need aeration in your saltwater too. A lot of people don't think you need aeration in saltwater for some reason. A lot of beginners make that mistake, but you can see I have my water level down. My filter is trickling in there. I don't know if you can see the water bubbles, the air bubbles on the video, but you need air in your tank because the ocean is constantly splashing. The ocean actually has a very high air levels, oxygen levels. You need hiding spots. Almost every single saltwater fish is semi-aggressive, and they need their own little niche or habitat to live in. I've chosen live rock for the purposes of territorial purposes, and I've used it for biological purposes, and it's just more natural. My layout is not natural. You can see you don't see something like that in the reef. Well, sometimes you do. It all depends what kind of parts you in, but most of the time you just see the ocean just flat or stacked up rocks. That's a lot of mistakes people make. You don't want to stack rocks because then your detritus and stuff gets caked up and you got a nitrate problem and you can't figure it out because you got everything going right, but you don't check your live rock. I'm not going to go on live rock. You plainly asked what do you need for a saltwater tank, so I'm going to go on that. If you still want some information, I'll be making another video. Saltwater is so vast and it's kind of hard to put in the video. You need to know your fish. For a 4-foot long tank, you got the options of a 55, a 75, a 90, and a 120, I think. 120 is extra tall and wide, I think, or long or whatever. But I think that's your options. But you need to figure out what kind of fish you want first. So if you're a beginner, daughter's boy, I'm sorry I haven't looked at your videos. If you want me to, I will. But if you're a beginner, you could go saltwater, but I wouldn't do it. If you want to go saltwater, I would go out with African cichlids. or South American cichlids. African cichlids are a little better because they're territorial, almost like damsels, and damsels are basically the easiest saltwater fish to keep. So basically one of the hardest freshwater fish to keep is almost exactly like the easiest saltwater fish to keep. I've got 2 damsels, not because they're easy, it's just because I like them. Well, actually, no, I've got 3, 2 in this tank and 1 in the other. Yeah, basically you need to know what kind of fish you want and how much knowledge you have in the fish in the aquarium of salt water. If you're not even that good at fresh, I'm not saying you're not, but I'm just asking because, like I said, I haven't seen your videos. If you're not even that knowledgeable at fresh, I wouldn't even dare to start salt. It's just so much to know. Saltwater, yeah, you need your sand bed. You need either a shallow sand bed or a deep sand bed. Deep sand bed, like I said, if you're not familiar with saltwater, don't go deep sand bed, because if you don't do it right, you're gonna run into problems like sulfuric acid. But that's a different story. God, man, like I said, there's so much stuff I can tell you about salt. In a video, it's kind of hard because there's so much. Okay, basic setup for a 55 gallon or 75 gallon. I'm gonna set you up my 55. Maybe it'll help you. Now, I set it up because I knew the fish I wanted. That fish right there, yellow tang, you see it grazing on the coralline algae or coralline algae, however you want to pronounce it. And you see it's grazing right now. That's one reason he stays in that back wall, because it's covered in coralline. I never cleaned that one. I figured out what fish I wanted first, and I built around that fish. This fish is reef safe, but I did make one mistake, and I'll get to that in a minute. I decided to go with a shallow sand bed because I didn't want to put invertebrates in here and keep it clean and stuff and all that shit. In deep sand beds, if you don't do it right, you can leave the sulfuric acid. So I figured out my tank. The yellow tang is my favorite fish of all time, and I figured out the minimum tank size needed, and I got it. I built around live rock because it's natural, and yellow tangs are not captive bred. They can be captive bred, but they can never raise to fry yet. So I got the fish as close to its natural habitat that I could. I figured out it needs plants and stuff. Now, you don't see any plants in here, but I feed it plants like macroalgae and stuff. I figured out that all aquariums need water flow, especially salt, but the yellow tang needed more, so I got a very high power head for constant motion in water, because yellow tang swims miles a day. The filtration, this is just the filtration came with it. I do a little extra to the filter to make it adequate for salt water. I put sponges in the bag to make up for biological filtration, and I also put my ChemiPure Elite in there. That helps out with the nitrates and phosphates and all that stuff. Lighting, I don't need any special lighting on here because I don't have any corals. It's just basically to see the fish. One's at 50-50 20 watt, and one's a 65K, which isn't good for salt water. I did build around the yellow tang. I got a yellowtail damsel, which actually came before him. I wanted to learn a little about fish before I jumped into saltwater, so I got a few beginner fish, and yeah, I killed a couple saltwater fish. But he was actually one of the first ones I got, and he's still alive. After the yellow tang, I got some other fish that, like I said, I was learning. Then I finally got my maroon clown, you can see in there, and that royal damsel, that black fish, blackish blue. Then there's a firefish and that yellowtail goby in there. And yeah, like I said, guys, there's so much. I mean, there's salt. You need test kits. Unlike fresh water, you can get away with sometimes. You need your test kits. You need so much. You need to know your salinity, pH, alkalinity, calcium, KH, nitrate, nitrite, ammonia. Oh man, it goes on and on. Sometimes iodine, and for the live rock and stuff, magnesium, trace elements. There's so much, man. Like I would say, like I'm gonna wrap the video up. This probably wasn't much of a help, but I hope it was. It's just, there's so much information. Like I said, you need another video, I'll do it for you. but there's just so much information in saltwater. I cannot put it in one video. If you're not a beginner, do not, I repeat, do not jump into saltwater, because you more than likely will kill everything you get. No offense, it's just saltwater is 20 times harder than freshwater. So guys, I'm running out of time, so like I said, man, if you need any more information, tell me the fish you want to get, the ones you got your eyes on. I'll tell you if they're beginner fish, easy fish. I'll tell you the tank parameters it needs, the tank size it needs, how big it gets. My tank does not show it, but I actually know a lot more than my tank shows. Any questions for anybody, not just the Daughters Boy, anybody in general, comment, rate, and subscribe. Any questions, let me know. Any suggestions, let me know. Any requests, let me know. Later.